If it's a day called today, we're talking guitars and life. Well, welcome back everybody to another exciting episode of Ted Talks Guitars and Life. In this video, what we're going to do is walk through the project plan for what we're going to do with the Washburn Sonamaster guitar. So yeah, man, it's a good guitar, kind of, sort of, with a few minor issues with just the feel while playing, sharp fret edges and a couple of other things. Sticky frets, strings getting caught up in the nut slot, the tuners are suspect, and the string trees are probably not helping, and the saddles need to be adjusted. So what we're going to do is we're going to go under the hood of this guitar, and we are going to begin slowly to work through the project of turning this okay guitar into a rock and roll machine. Jack, stick around, man. It's going to be a good time. Okay, guys. So, a couple specky things before we get started. One is that I have weighed the guitar. This guitar weighs in at a 7.4 pounds. According to the way that I weigh all of my guitars. And if you hang on the channel, you know I'd be embarrassed to tell you how I weigh guitars, Jack. Hey, if it's your first time hanging out with us, welcome. Come hang out with us anytime at Ted Talks Guitars and Life. So this guitar weighs in at 7.4 pounds. This guitar is sporting a 14-inch radius. By the way, that matches the radius of both the Leo kit and the two nags that have been through the shop recently. I did go ahead and test the pickup output here. The bridge pickup is rocking 1438, and if you listen to any of the playing, as soon as I hit the bridge pickup, man, this thing started screaming, and I don't mean in a good way. Really too aggressive for me, really too bright for me, just not for me. So we get to upgrades, we'll talk about pickups. The middle pickup, by contrast, was rocking 3.78, and the neck pickup by itself was rocking a 3.86. So yeah, man, you could tell when I went from the bridge into the other pickup selections here on the 5-way switch that things got really low volume really quick, man. So, and that would be why, my friends, because that bridge pickup is entirely too loud. Oh man, I sound like an old man, Jack. When did I get to be so old? So this project that we're working on, you and I, there's a couple of things that I want to talk through by way of project scope, and then we will move to actually doing some of this work. Let me show you the first thing that we need to address. So the first thing that we need to address on this fingerboard is this first fret. You can probably see the chunk that is out of the first fret, and from a different angle you might be able to see that that fingerboard does not go all the way to the nut, all the way across copacetically, my friends. So I will be attempting to, at some point in the project, fill in those holes with fretboard material from other portions of the neck of the guitar. I will take a razor blade, I will scrape this board, I will collect material, and I may have some from a previous project, but I want to make sure that the color isn't greatly off too bad. And while we're doing that, we will go ahead and swap the nut out. I happen to have a collection of nuts here that I purchased for other projects. I've got a dobro in there. I've got some Music Lily stuff in there. So we'll find one that fits maybe, and if not, I may have to order a blank and cut one, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to find a nut replacement. So I need to fix the fingerboard on the first fret. I need to put in a new nut. That's only going to help with tuning stability. I need to do fret work. I've got a fair amount of sharpish frets. They're not brutally sharp, but they are sharp. In the 2 previous vids about this guitar, I have mentioned that, so I will not belabor the point. Get on with it, Ted. We heard you say frets are sharp. Oh, yeah. Sharp fret ends. So I will be dealing with those. I will check the frets to make sure they are all level. I will crown what needs to be crowned. If anything needs to be filed, I will polish the frets. I will clean the board. I will condition the board. And that ought to do it for the neck of the guitar. From there, we will replace these metal string trees with actual string trees, like maybe some Fender style rolling string guides or anything that I can find around the shop that is not those. I really don't like those. The tuners I'm going to keep for a while. Once I get the neck and the nut and the string trees, and I do some saddle height adjustment. We'll talk about the body in a moment. I may or may not need to replace the tuners. I'm not sure if my tuning stability has to do with these tuners. They're really, there's a little bit of slack in them. That one, this one and this one have slack. That one's got a little bit of slack in it. Yeah, that one's pretty tight. So, all right, I take it back. We will replace the tuners, but I'm going to say at some point. I'm not just going to run out and start buying parts. But that is probably on the upgrade list, my friends. All right, let me get you down here to the body. In a moment, we're going to go under the hood, and I will be taking off the pick guard. We'll be looking under there. We'll be looking at the output jack. I know exactly what we're going to find, right? And so do you. A basic import style jack. Probably dime size pots and a box switch. Guys, you do not have to replace any of that. You do you, man. If you want to rock the import jack, rock it. If you don't want to put a pure tone jack in, don't do it. I more than likely will. I happen to have one right there. Yeah, man. So pots, I'll assess those. They're pretty loosey-goosey, man. I mean, they're you could probably blow on that volume knob and get that to turn. The switch is, you know, pretty sure it's a box switch. Anyway, guys, only replace the parts that you want to replace. Don't let anybody run any space in your head about what you need to have under the hood, man. If you want to rock the jack and the pot and the switch, man, you do you. If you want to rock these stock pickups, rock them. Speaking of rocking, look at this, J-Man. J-Man just did a vid about rocking humbuckers and one of his solutions, man. Check out J-Man's channel if you haven't been over there. He accomplishes that by adjusting the kind of screw that he uses here. The single coils, of course, are not moving. So you could put a piece of foam under here. A lot of people do that. Just give this something to sit on so it doesn't rock. For me, though, again, I'm probably going to go 3 single coils here. So that's going to perfectly purloined pick guard is going to have to go. Unless I put a humbucker in here, which I seriously doubt I will do. I've already got a perfectly good Tease guitar that I upgraded that has a humbucker in the bridge, so why would I need 2 guitars with a humbucker in the bridge that are Strat models? The saddles. These saddles are not level. You will see that when we go under the hood and I get you down here closer, meaning the height of those is not consistent. That also has something to do with my tuning stability. This guitar is intonated, though. I'll say that. I'll give it that. Out of the box, I think 3 of the strings were intonated. 2 of them were pretty close. 1 of them was spot on, but now the guitar is completely intonated. So we've talked about the fingerboard, we talked about the fretwork, we talked about the nut, we talked about replacing the string trees, we talked about the tuners a little bit. We talked about some of these components. I'm going to show all of this to you in a moment. But once we do all that, we will assess what kind of upgrades we're going to do. And then, and only then, I will address the cosmetic issue. What is the cosmetic issue? I'm glad you asked. On this particular guitar, I have three, count them, 3 dents. I don't know how well these are going to appear in the camera. Let me see if I can get you in there. Yeah, there you go. There's a good shot of one. So the thing about that dent is that you can tell that some of the paint has chipped around the dent. And so over time, that would just continue to chip away and be bare wood there. Let me show you the next one. This one is probably the most egregious of the 3. I don't need to even do a zoom for you to, you probably see that one from space, man. But yeah, so I've got 2 significant dents there in the body of this guitar. And I would just remind everybody again, in case you missed the video, that the folks at Marmalade USA, I contacted them, I told them about the dents, I told them about the weirdness on the first fret of the fingerboard. They gave me some options, and the option that I opted for was to get a $50 refund from them and move on down the road with this guitar. So that's what we're going to do. Let me show you the 3rd dent. Now this is the hardest one to pick out of a lineup, but it's right here. Maybe if I do that, you can see, you see the circle? It feels a little bit indented, and again, you've got some paint that's beginning to chip away around a circle. So those 3 significant dents were enough for me, oh man, to be dissatisfied. You know, look guys, a lot of people say that I'm picky, and maybe I am picky. But you know, man, I'm just like you. I buy the equipment myself, and nobody's given me this guitar to talk to you about. I went out and purchased this guitar because I kept seeing it on Facebook and Instagram and talking about save $80. And this guitar by itself, the Washburn Sonamaster, if you go out and you look at just about any vendor, man, these guitars new are running $249, Jack. And that's just for the guitar. So how can they sell a bundle for $149? I don't know. You can see I've got some other minor imperfection. There's a little bit of a scratch here, and there's some other 2 other spots over here where you can kind of just see a light, kind of a little bit of a weirdness. I'm not concerned about that. The 3 dents were enough for me with the fingerboard to contact Marmalade, and as I've said, they did make it right for me. I could have sent it completely back and just started all over, but I just took the $50 and figured this was a great opportunity to do a little bit of work, and you guys could hang out with me while we do the work, man. What's cooler than talking guitars in life and working on a guitar together? Jack, man, thanks for being on the journey with me, guys. I have such a great time hanging out with you all. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate our fellowship, man. Those of you who are hanging out with me on Tuesday nights at 7:30 Central Standard Time, PM that is, man, we just have a blast, man. If any of you ever have time, you want to stop by at Tuesday 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time and do a live with us, man. We are having a blast, man. Lots of stories, lots of cool conversations in the chat. Yeah, man, come hang out with us anytime. All right, guys, we need to get into some work now. I've been stalling too long, talking too much. Stand by. Now, the first order of business for me is going to be to remove this tag. I did a whole playing vid where this tag was just blowing in the wind, man. Yeah, this is apparently this is to California residents. Proposition 65. I've actually seen this on quite a few products lately. Proposition 65 information for California residents. I guess nobody else needs to worry about it. Warning, cancer and reproductive harm. And it's got a www.p65warnings.ca.gov, Jack. So yeah, man. Own this guitar at your own risk, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. But that's only if you're in California. Everybody else apparently is safe and sound. So, that's a little bit of sarcasm as we talk guitars and life. All right, now we're going to get into it. If you like this kind of content, why don't you like the video? Consider subscribing to the channel. Come back anytime and hang out with us at Ted Talks Guitars and Life. And now, let's get back to it. Well, we're back, my friends. Now, those of you who hang out on the channel are used to me going straight to the tuners. However, I thought since I mentioned the solo pickup height gauge tool, I would just sort of show it to you. So the way this tool works is that you fret the last frettable note of your guitar and you slide the pickup height gauge under the string and the pickup, kind of like a feeler gauge. And if you have to cram it in there, or you've got a mile high depth between the pickup and the string, you're too low. If you've got to cram it in, you're too high. It takes patience, it takes time, and that will give you approximately a 3 millimeter distance between the pickup magnet and the string. And the same would be true for the other two pickups in this guitar. Then on the treble side, same thing. You want to fret the last frettable note. You want to use the thinner 1.5 mil side, and you want to slide it in between the pickup magnet and the string. And again, if it's too low, you want to heighten it. If it's too high, you want to lower it until you get an appropriate kind of feel in there where you can live with that and I can live with those. So anyway, just want to show you the solo music pickup height gauge. I will put a non-affiliate link in the description below should you want to check one out. Hey man, put it in the comments. What's your preferred pickup height from pickup to string? What tools do you use to do that, if any? You could do it with a straight up ruler if you wanted to do that kind of thing. You certainly could. So what are the considerations to make when you buy any budget guitar or any guitar at all that has these kind of metal string trees as to whether or not you will keep them or replace them? And I have a tendency to chunk them in this little box, never to be seen again, and to install some Fender style rolling string tree, something that is not going to have too much friction on the guitar string as it goes in those. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to deinstall some strings. And through the sophistication of fast forward, you don't have to watch me do that. I will take a break in the action of deinstalling these strings to show you this. This is why you may need to file your nut slot. So this guitar string is loose on both sides of the nut, right? But you'll see that it's stuck in there. I'm going to have to use some force to pop it out of there. So what that means, guys, is that the string is being bound up in that nut slot. That's not good. The string needs to be able to have its being in there, man. It needs to be able to move around. Getting stuck in there is not good. You need to be able to bend strings and all the things that you're going to do. The string needs to be able to vibrate up until it hits that point. And you certainly do not want it stuck in those grooves. I imagine all of these are going to follow suit. But that is reason number one, that we want to make sure that our nut slots are wide enough for our guitar strings. Free tips at Ted Talks Guitars and Life. Free tips. This is the part of the video where about 25 people are about to type, "You're too picky. Why are you so picky?" Alright guys, look at this. That one's okay. See how these are kind of having the, that one came out pretty quick. That one's good. And that one's pretty good too. But man, you got to get those nut slots We're there free and easy, bro. Free and easy. Hey Brant, man, the next time you get a budget guitar through the shop and it's got strings on it that are not going to serve you long term, when you cut the strings off, man, cut them about right here, somewhere in here with the pickup range. Take those out and you're going to have a good amount of strings left for your working nut files, man. If you want to go old school, that's a way to do it. Okay, so a couple things along the way here. One thing I find really interesting about this guitar is this serial number on this kind of plastic strip. It does say QC Pass, but that serial number, man, that seems a little bit weird to me. But okay, so listen, if you're on a budget and you think you may have bad tuners, there's a couple of things. One is it could just be your nut slots and your nut in general. Two, one of the things that you can do, you could tighten these screws right there. Now you don't want to over tighten those because you could potentially break them, but that might get you some more tension and not have it be as loosey-goosey as we call it in the biz. Nobody calls it that. Well, I call it that sometimes. All right, 10 mil socket for the win. Long shaft so that the machine head shaft can come up through there. I'm just going to take these tuners out. And while I'm here, these string trees got to go. So if you buy a budget guitar and you do everything you can to save the tuners, you tighten the screws here. You could even put some 3-in-1 oil down in the shaft if you want to, and then spin that to your heart's content and see if you can't solve some of your issues. If none of those things work for you, particularly after adjusting your nut slot, if you're still having tuning instability and you believe that the culprit is the tuners and you're going to want to purchase some replacement tuners, what you should know about the Washburn Sonamaster Deluxe Stratocaster is that these ferrule holes are 10 mil holes. So what that means is that this ferrule width will fit into this hole thusly. Okay, it's a little bit too big. The hole is a little bit too big, but it's going to sit in there just nicely. So if you're going to buy replacement tuners, then you're going to be wanting to get 10 mil. Okay? Yeah. So we're talking guitars and life. We're having a good time, man. I hope you guys have a good time hanging out as we do this kind of under the hood stuff. This is meant to be helpful. I am aware, guys, that some of you could do what I'm doing blindfolded and 100 times better than I'm doing it. These videos are probably not helpful to you, but they are helpful to our good friends who are just starting out with guitars, who need some tips, man. It should be noted as a cautionary tale to be careful when you use your truss rod adjustment tool so that you don't create these divots around the truss rod hole. This guitar came out of the package with that groove in it. I did not do that. Just want to let everybody know that when you use your truss rod tool, you want to be very careful because you can, in fact, create a few cosmetic challenges for yourself if you're worried about that kind of thing. So be very careful when you use your tools. By the way, this is not the tool that came in the bag. This is my standard fare blue tape to keep them separated, Jack. So we're going to come back and do a couple other things in just a little bit. That ought to do it for right now, though. Well, as always, wherever you are in your guitar journey, I pray it's a long, smooth, safe, joy-filled ride for you, Jack. Rock on with your bad selves, everybody. We'll catch you down the road.